This episode of Whitetail Cribs, we're headed to South Carolina to visit with Joe Miles. Joe Miles is the founder of ASIO Gear, and he has a trophy room you have to see to believe. Get ready to check out Osseo headquarters, some giant whitetails, Ibex, and all sorts of animals. Hope you guys enjoy it. Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to my trophy room. Come on in. This is unbelievable. I'm Joe Miles, founder and president of ASIO Gear, and this is my trophy room. But before we check it out, let's go see the ASIO Gear headquarters. So guys, this is the ASIO kind of headquarters, if you will. This is my office, a little bit of a showroom, and over here is where we do research, development, meeting, that sort of stuff. We bring samples in and completely go through them and pick out fabrics and that sort of stuff. So this is kind of the room that we do all that in. You know, we try to keep it really humble, really low overhead so that we can pass those savings on to our customers. So it's important for us to keep, you know, it really lean and mean, and this is a, you know, really a humble warehouse that we're in, and I'll show you the rest of the spots. All right, so this is our warehouse and kind of gym area. As you can see, our packing table right here where all the orders come and are sorted, and then back here is where our inventory that we're going to be using immediately is all shelved. So we pick from there, bring it to this table, pack all the orders like what Kevin's doing right now. Those then get stacked up right over here. UPS comes, picks everything up, and normally everything is shipped the day that it's ordered. So over here is where we keep our lightweight gear. We've got our pants and our early season tops here. Then we drop down to our midweight stuff. Over here we've got a section of our packs, and then we've got our gloves, our neck gaiters, our hats, all of it super organized. And then when we get later in the season, we come around here in this hallway, if you will. We've got our Sherpa line jacket, Sherpa line pants, our vest, our late season gear, and all the warm stuff is back here. All right, guys, let's go check out the trophy room. All right, guys, this is my trophy room. Welcome. You know, I've been bow hunting for over 35 years. Hunting has been really my passion since I could walk. My dad is a big hunter. At one time, he actually had the 11th biggest whitetail ever killed in the state. And he is, you know, he's sunk the bug into me when I was really little. I ended up going to Africa when I got out of college and became a professional hunter and guided over there for 7 years. And it's just been a passion and part of my life since I can remember. So let's go check these animals out. This is the first sheep I ever shot. This is a desert bighorn sheep. Killed him down in Mexico. And this one right here really got me started with the sheep hunting bug, and I've been after him pretty hard ever since. So this Dall sheep right here won the Beauchard Summit Award. It was the largest Dall sheep killed that year. Scores 176 Boone and Crockett, and what that would equate to is probably about a 250-inch whitetail. Very hard to kill a big Dall sheep like that. So I was really lucky to get on that animal. We killed him in Alaska in the Wrangell Mountains, and any of you guys that have hunted up there, those glaciers and those mountains is some of the ruggedest country there is. Up here, we've got another desert bighorn, and that ram scores 180 inches, and that's, you know, kind of the pinnacle of where you want to get on a desert bighorn. Also shot him down in Mexico. Here we've got, this is a Fannin sheep that I killed in the Yukon, and I shot him, 5 years ago, and I was on a 10-day backpack hunt, and my guide blew his knee out the second day of the trip. And I had to stay in a tent in the rain for 7 days until they got another guy to come in there and take us. And I ended up killing him the very last day of the hunt. So really fortunate to get that ram. Another Dall sheep, called him Twister, obviously, for obvious reasons. He's a big one I killed with Knoll Outfitters up in the Northwest Territory. Probably one of the best sheep outfits that I've ever hunted with. Another Dall sheep, also from Knoll Outfitters up in the Northwest Territory. Both of those hunts were early in July when the weather was still nice. So as far as sheep hunting goes, pretty pleasurable hunt. They are backpack hunts, so there is some toughness involved with them. But anybody looking for a good sheep hunt, those guys are awesome to hunt with. Stone sheep, probably my favorite sheep of all. They're just beautiful. Shot this one in the Yukon. This one right here I shot in British Columbia. Let's see, elk, got him in, New Mexico. Shot him in the Gila National Forest in Mexico on public land. Also got that one on video, pretty neat hunt. Mule deer, I did some guiding in Oregon for elk and mule deer right when I got out of college before I went to Africa. And the rancher let me take a elk or a mule deer each year along with paying me a small salary, but it was worth it just to be able to hunt. So I did get that mule deer with him while I was out there. Bighorn sheep, killed him in Alberta, and those are pretty difficult trips. I think the success rate is under 50%. So was very fortunate to get that ram. So with all these sheep, I've got almost 2 Grand Slam of sheep. I need 1 more bighorn to complete my 2nd Grand Slam of sheep. Red stag right here from Patagonia in Argentina. Hunted at the foot of the Andes Mountains, one of the most beautiful places to hunt. And when they're roaring, I guess the good thing about that is the southern hemisphere. So, February, March is the rut down there. The elk run here, September. So pretty neat to hunt them, in February and March when there's really nothing around here going on. Get over to some super exotic critters. These are Ibex from Mongolia, and the top 2 are Altai Ibex, and this bottom one is a Gobi Desert Ibex. Other than sheep, these Ibex are definitely my favorite mountain animals to hunt. It requires so much discipline and training to get in shape mentally and physically to hunt these animals. You're going to some of the most exotic places in the world and in some of the roughest mountains in the world. The food's not real good. The language barrier that you have, the driving distances to get into this country, you're sometimes driving 24 hours almost straight, and it's just a lot to stay mentally focused. But the reward, these animals with these corrugated horns are just, to me, just fascinating and incredible, and I love hunting Ibex. Up here we got an Alaskan mountain goat, and he is a Boone and Crockett. That was probably the hardest pack-out job I've ever had. We got pinched down in this big canyon and had to climb up in the dark, and it was completely dark, and we were in the cliffs, and I just finally called it and said, look, man, we just got to wait till tomorrow morning. So we actually put our rain gear on and just laid down in some willows up in these cliffs and waited till daylight. And when we got up and got everything packed up to get out, if we had gone about another 50 yards, we both would have gone off this cliff. So that was super dangerous. Up here is a moose. Shot him in British Columbia, and was a pretty cool hunt. I actually spined him, and Kevin, buddy that works with me at Osseo, was filming that hunt, and I spined him, and you can actually see the moose on video go straight down. I had to put a follow-up arrow in him, but that was a really neat hunt. Here we got some Spanish Ibex. This is a Grados up top, and that's actually number 14 in the world, the 14th largest one that's ever been taken. And then this is a Bassetti Ibex down here. Spain's a lot of fun. You can take a wife, girlfriend, whatever. They can hang out in Madrid while you go hunt. So that's a really cool hunt, neat animals. All right, here we got a Marco Polo sheep. This is actually the Hume argali is what they call it, so it's the subspecies of Marco Polo. It's a little bit smaller, super high altitude, 13,000 feet. I got him on the first day. That normally never happens to me, but I got him on the very first day of the hunt. We got into camp, unpacked everything, went out, and we hiked for, 2 or 3 hours, and we got into a big herd of them, and I got him the first day. So that was a really neat experience. This red stag up here, 389 inches is what he scored, and at the time he was the number 1 free-range red stag ever taken with a bow. I don't know if he's still number 1, but he was when I shot him. All right, this is kind of the Africa collection, if you will. Like I said earlier, I guided in Africa for 7 years as a professional hunter, and while I was over there, I did get to do some hunting. So I've got 2 Nyala bulls here. I've got a water buck, a Cape buffalo, and a kudu. So some of the prettiest spiral horn animals in the world. There's a little saying the Zulu say about the spiral horns is that God touched, they've got these white spots on their cheeks, and they say, the Zulu say that God touched them like this and then kissed them on the forehead while he created them, and that's why they have those, the kind of the white chevron and the 2 dots. So just neat story about them. Over here we got Pumbaa the warthog, ugliest animal in the trophy room by far. And then I've got a Saskatchewan black bear. He was a Boone and Crockett bear. I'm not a big predator hunter. I've shot 2 bears in my life and no leopard, lion. Just that's not my thing. So, but a great black bear. And now we can talk about the whitetail. Whitetail Cribs, we'll talk about some whitetail. Obviously, that's my passion, bow hunting these big deer, and have been doing it for over 35 years. I guess we can start down here. This is a buck I shot in Texas on a lease that I had there, and that's the closest I've ever shot a whitetail deer. He was inside 2 yards. I was in a ground blind, and I was really just scouting. It wasn't brushed in or anything. I didn't know exactly where to set it up or where I was going to set up. But I got in this ground blind, and a doe popped out about 200 yards in front of me, and she starts walking down the road that goes right beside the ground blind, and he pops out and is following right behind her, and it's the buck I'm after. We had a lot of trail camera pictures of him, and she comes right down the road, and we got a strong wind blowing from the road to the ground blind into the woods, and she literally walked. She didn't brush the ground blind, but she walked right beside it, and I just drew my bow, and there was a window, and she walked through it, and I watched her, and the sun was kind of coming through. I could see the silhouette of him, and he's closer than me to the camera, and he walked into that blind, never stopped walking or anything, and I just touched off the release, right through both shoulders. He went about 90 yards and fell over, but literally I could have touched him with the broadhead. So that's pretty neat. Next is the Chub Buck. Some guys have heard of the 29-acre tract that I used to hunt. That was the third buck that I killed on that tract year after year after year. It was the 3rd deer. He was by far the most aggressive buck of any buck in here. He's a basic 10.170 with 13 inches of trash on the bottom there. And I snort wheezed at him out in an old cattle pasture. And he bristled up. He had some stuff. I've got part of it on video. He had some branches in his antlers, and he postured up and walked 200 yards across that cattle pasture and jumped a little barbed wire fence, and I shot him at about 15 yards. But he was absolutely the man in there, and I've never had a buck that aggressive. So that was a really neat hunt. Coming on down, this is a Missouri buck right here. What happened with this, I was actually hunting in Kansas, and a helicopter crew flew into the middle of our lease and set up shop. They were working on the power lines. And I went up to them and asked them, they said, yeah, we're going to be here for 2 weeks replacing these power lines, and this is our base. So we're going to fly in with the helicopter, pick up our equipment, and go back, and we'll be doing that all day for the next 2 weeks, daylight to dark. So I go to the guy that owned the ranch that we were hunting and asked him about it, and he said, there's nothing I can do. They do that on their own accord, and we have an agreement to let them come in. So basically my lease was destroyed. So I called a buddy of mine, and I said, man, I'm going to come back to Illinois, and I'd killed a buck in Illinois, pick up my buck and come on back to South Carolina. He goes, no, I got a friend that's got a farm in Missouri. You can get a tag over the counter. We went over kind of the aerial that night, and I got there at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I went and scouted and found where some CRP led out of a big bedding area, and I set up on the edge of that CRP, and darn if he didn't pop out that first afternoon. I grunted at him 2 or 3 times. He made a big scrape and worked all the way over to me, and I shot him on video at about 25 yards. So that was a neat hunt. Sometimes you got to turn lemons into lemonade, and that one really worked out. This is Big Lefty. That was the first deer I killed on the 29-acre tract. And that really, probably this buck is the one that got me into hunting, really into hunting the big Midwest deer. I'd killed quite a few deer at home and in Georgia, but that was the first really big one I shot in the Midwest. And this was a first afternoon in hunt on the 29-acre tract. That morning, I hunted and saw quite a few deer, and I heard a buck fight up behind me. And there was a creek bottom, and he obviously was one of the bucks up there fighting. So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he came down to that creek to get a drink. And he was not still panting, but I could tell that he was worn out. and he came down to the creek, and I got a shot at him right there, and he didn't go 30 yards, went over. So that was a neat one. We called him Comb Over. This was the second buck off the 29-acre tract. He's upper 180s. Got a lot going on there. Probably some of the prettiest footage of any big whitetail deer that I can think of. It's in the beautiful daylight, high pressure system. He's coming across a CRP field. There's been a lot of that, of him seen on a lot of different shows and a lot of different promotional stuff. So that was a really fun hunt. Biggest deer body-wise I've ever killed right here is an Alberta Buck. Weighed over 350 pounds. He doesn't look like it, but he scores right at 160. He's got a lot of mass. Shot him in an alfalfa field in Alberta. It's a Minnesota buck I shot with a buddy of mine, Scott Baker. He's got a beautiful farm, invited me up to hunt with him. And guys, I've got deer here from South Carolina to Montana, from Mexico to Alberta, and about everywhere in between. It just really is my passion. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. Got a lot more of it to do. And yeah, just it's an incredible thing to do. You guys that do a lot of it, that follow Whitetail Cribs, it's in your blood as well, and it's just something that we're super passionate about. And I appreciate you guys coming and checking out my room.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to support what we're doing here at Exodus, be sure to hit the subscribe button or head to our website, ExodusOutdoorGear.com, and use the code Whitetail to save 10% off our entire site for a limited time. You can save 10% on the Exodus Render, a Verizon 4G LTE camera backed by our 5-year no BS warranty, or our brand new Exodus MMT arrows, which are tailor built to your hunting specs. Be sure to check that out on our website. Until next time, see ya.